Captain Jake Morrison opened his eyes for the first time in 10,000 years. The soft blue light of the revival chamber slowly brightened as his body temperature returned to normal. His muscles ached as feeling returned to his limbs. Around him, thousands of other chambers hummed quietly as they began their awakening cycles. Dr. Lisa Parker stood over his pod, checking the readings on her tablet. She had been awake for 3 months already, part of the advanced team that prepared for this moment. Her job was to make sure the revival process went smoothly. Jake was one of the first to wake because he was a ship captain. They needed leaders awake first. "How do you feel?" Lisa asked as Jake sat up slowly. "Like I slept too long," Jake said, rubbing his neck. "How many are awake now?" "About 50,000 across all the ships," Lisa replied. "We're bringing back the essential personnel first. Military commanders, ship crews, scientists, engineers. The rest will wake over the next 6 months." Jake looked around the massive chamber. Rows upon rows of sleeping pods stretched into the distance. Each pod held a human being who had been asleep for nearly 1,000,000 years. The new Terra was just one of thousands of ships scattered across dark space, each carrying millions of sleeping humans. Commander Ryan Brooks was already awake and working in the command center when Jake arrived. Banks of screens showed data, streaming in from observation posts throughout the galaxy. Ryan had been studying the information for weeks. "The news isn't good," Ryan said without looking up from his screens. "The Galactic Federation is gone, completely collapsed." Jake felt his stomach drop. "How long ago?" "Hard to say exactly, but our deep space monitors suggest it happened gradually over the last 200,000 years. The final collapse was about 50,000 years ago." On the main screen, star maps showed the current state of galactic civilization. Where once there had been unified territories marked in Federation blue, now there were hundreds of small colored patches representing different governments, many of them hostile to each other. Lieutenant Kate Sullivan entered the command center carrying a stack of printed reports. She had been leading the intelligence analysis teams since her revival 3 weeks ago. Her teams had been going through centuries of stored data from their hidden observation posts. "Captain, you need to see this," Kate said, spreading the reports on the table. "Most of the alien species have forgotten about us completely. The younger generations think humans are just myths, some kind of ancient legend." Jake picked up one of the reports. It was a translation of recent alien communications his teams had intercepted. The text spoke of humans as either demons who brought destruction or gods who brought peace, depending on which species was talking. "The Altarians still tell stories about human warriors," Kate continued. "They say humans could fight 100 enemies at once and never lose. The Kepler scientists have legends about humans who could solve any problem and invent miraculous technologies." "What about the governments?" Jake asked. "Do any of them remember the real history?" Ryan pulled up another screen showing political analysis. "A few of the older species have some accurate records. The Centauri Republic still has some of our old diplomatic agreements in their archives, but even they think we went extinct in some great catastrophe." Dr. Lisa Parker joined them in the command center, carrying her own tablet full of medical data. "The revival process is showing some interesting results," she said. "The genetic modifications we made before the Great Sleep have been active during our hibernation. We're not the same humans who went to sleep." She pulled up holographic displays showing human DNA sequences. "Our intelligence has increased significantly. Our physical capabilities are enhanced. Some of our people are showing signs of psychic abilities. The nanotechnology in our bloodstreams has been slowly improving our bodies while we slept." Jake studied the data with amazement. "Are you saying we evolved while we were asleep?" "Not evolved exactly," Lisa explained. "The modifications we made were designed to continue developing during hibernation. We're stronger, smarter, and more capable than we were before the sleep. Our lifespans have increased dramatically. We're essentially a new subspecies of human." Commander Ryan brought up tactical displays on his screens. "Our technology advanced too. The AI systems we left running have been researching and developing new systems for nearly 1,000,000 years. Our ships are centuries ahead of anything the current galaxy has." Kate pulled out more intelligence reports. The alien civilizations have actually gone backward. Their technology is more primitive than it was when we left. Their weapons are less effective. Their ships are slower. Their medicine is crude compared to what they had during Federation times. Why did everything fall apart? Jake asked. Ryan highlighted different sections of his analysis. It looks like humans were more important to galactic civilization than anyone realized. We were the primary diplomats, the main innovators, the peacekeepers. When we disappeared, nobody could fill those roles. The universal translator protocols failed about 300,000 years ago, Kate added. Species can barely communicate with each other now. Trade networks collapsed. Scientific cooperation ended. Old ethnic hatreds that humans used to mediate erupted into wars. Lisa showed them medical reports from their observations. Dozens of species have exhausted their homeworlds. They're fighting over habitable planets because they never learned the terraforming techniques humans developed. Plagues that human medicine could have cured easily have killed billions. Jake walked to the large viewing port and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, among those distant lights, billions of alien beings were struggling to survive in a galaxy that had forgotten how to function properly. How many humans are there now? He asked. 50 billion, Lisa replied. Scattered across 3,000 ships and hidden colonies. We maintained the population carefully during the sleep. We have enough people to rebuild galactic civilization, if that's what we decide to do. Ryan joined him at the viewing port. The question is whether we should reveal ourselves. The galaxy managed without us for nearly 1 million years. Maybe we should stay hidden. Look at the data, Kate said firmly. Billions are dying. Entire species are facing extinction. Wars are destroying whole star systems. The galaxy needs help. Jake continued staring at the stars. The weight of decision pressed down on him. 50 billion humans with advanced technology and enhanced capabilities. A galaxy in chaos, with no one capable of restoring order. The choice seemed obvious, but the consequences would be enormous. Wake everyone, he finally said. All 50 billion, it's time to go home. Admiral Ben Carter stood on the bridge of the scout ship Silent Runner as it approached the Altarian home system. The ship's cloaking technology made it completely invisible to the primitive sensors the aliens were using. Ben had been awake for 6 months now, leading reconnaissance missions to gather intelligence about the current state of galactic civilization. The main screen showed Altaria Prime, once the proud capital of a mighty interstellar empire. Now the planet looked sick. Brown patches covered areas that used to be green forests. The orbital stations were dark and broken. Only a few small ships moved between the planet and its moons. Scan the surface, Ben ordered his science officer. Lieutenant Amy Torres worked at her station, analyzing the data flowing from their advanced sensors. Population is down to about 2 billion from the historical peak of 12 billion. Most of the major cities are abandoned. The remaining settlements look primitive, like they've lost most of their technology. Ben studied the readouts with growing concern. The Altarians had once been the galaxy's finest warriors and engineers. Their cities had been marvels of architecture, and their armies had kept peace across hundreds of star systems. Now they appeared to be living in ruins. What about their government? Ben asked. Amy pulled up political intelligence their long-range scanners had gathered. No central government. The planet is divided into about 40 separate city-states. They're constantly fighting each other over resources. The old Imperial Palace is just a pile of rubble. Dr. Chris Anderson looked up from his analysis station. He had been studying technological samples their probes had collected. Their weapons are crude copies of old Federation designs. Their power systems are inefficient. Their transportation technology has regressed by centuries. It's like they forgot how to maintain their own civilization. The Silent Runner moved onto the Kepler system, former heart of the galaxy's greatest scientific institutions. What they found there was even more disturbing. The research stations that once housed millions of brilliant minds were mostly empty. The few that still operated were isolated and suspicious of outsiders. Colonel Amy Torres led a stealth landing party to the surface of Kepler Prime. Using advanced camouflage suits, her team was able to move unseen through the abandoned scientific complexes. The laboratories that had once produced miraculous discoveries were now dusty museums filled with equipment no one knew how to operate. The knowledge is still here, Amy reported through their secure communication link. Libraries full of research data, laboratories full of advanced equipment. But the current population doesn't understand any of it. They're like children playing with toys they don't comprehend. Dr. Chris Anderson studied samples his teams had collected from dozens of worlds. The pattern is consistent everywhere: technological regression, population decline, social collapse. Without human innovation and leadership, these civilizations have been slowly dying for hundreds of thousands of years. Intelligence Officer Maria Rodriguez had been monitoring alien communications across the galaxy. Her job was to understand the political situation and identify potential threats or allies. What she discovered was chaos beyond imagination. There are over 300 separate governments claiming to be the legitimate heirs of the Federation, Maria reported during a briefing aboard the command ship. Most of them control only a few star systems. They spend more time fighting each other than governing their own people. She brought up a holographic map showing the current political divisions. The Vegan Supremacy Coalition controls about 50 systems in the Outer Rim. They're extremely xenophobic and have been trying to exterminate other species. The Centauri Republic holds about 30 systems near the galactic core. They still have some Federation technology but lack the knowledge to maintain it properly. Captain Steve Johnson had been conducting deep space surveys, mapping the current state of interstellar infrastructure. His findings were equally disturbing. The hyperspace beacon network has failed. Most species are trapped in their home systems because they can't navigate interstellar space safely. The few ships that do travel between stars take months or years to make journeys that used to take days. Steve showed them images of abandoned space stations and derelict ships floating dead in space. Trade has almost completely stopped. The economic networks that connected thousands of worlds have collapsed. Most planets are trying to be completely self-sufficient, but many lack the resources or knowledge to succeed. Dr. Chris Anderson made another troubling discovery while analyzing alien medical technology. Diseases that human medicine eliminated centuries ago are rampant throughout the galaxy. Plagues that we could cure with simple treatments are killing millions. Their medical knowledge has regressed so far they're using primitive chemical treatments instead of the genetic therapies humans developed. The most disturbing discovery came from Captain Steve Johnson's survey of agricultural worlds. Dozens of planets that were successfully terraformed during the Federation era have been ruined by poor management. The aliens never learned the ecological balance techniques humans developed. Entire worlds have become barren wastelands. He showed them before and after images of worlds that had once been garden paradises, but were now desert planets with poisoned atmospheres. They're fighting wars over the few remaining habitable worlds because they don't know how to restore the damaged ones or create new ones. Admiral Ben Carter compiled all the intelligence into a comprehensive report for the human leadership. The picture that emerged was of a galaxy in terminal decline. Without human guidance, alien civilizations had lost the knowledge and wisdom necessary to maintain advanced civilization. The most dangerous discovery, Ben reported, is that several alien factions are actively searching for Earth. They believe that whoever controls humanity's homeworld will gain access to our legendary technology archives and become the dominant power in the galaxy. Maria Rodriguez had intercepted communications showing that archaeological expeditions were already en route to Earth's last known coordinates. They don't know exactly where Earth is, but they're systematically searching every system in the region. It's only a matter of time before they find it. Dr. Chris Anderson looked at the assembled data with scientific detachment. Galactic civilization is dying. Population decline, technological regression, ecological collapse, political fragmentation. Without intervention, I estimate complete civilizational collapse within 50 to 100 years. Amy Torres had been studying military capabilities across the galaxy. The good news is that none of them pose a serious threat to us individually. Their weapons and ships are centuries behind our current technology. The bad news is that there are billions of them and many are desperate enough to try anything. Admiral Ben Carter transmitted his final report back to the human command structure. The evidence was overwhelming. The galaxy needed help, whether it wanted that help or not. The question was no longer whether humans should reveal themselves, but how quickly they could act, before it was too late to save what remained of galactic civilization. Recommend immediate mobilization of all human forces, Ben concluded his report. The galaxy is dying, and we may be the only ones who can save it. Fleet Admiral Laura Kim walked into the Grand Council chamber aboard Humanity's Reach, the massive command station hidden in the void between galaxies. Representatives from every human colony and Ark fleet had gathered for the most important decision in nearly 1,000,000 years. The circular chamber could hold 10,000 people, and every seat was filled. Senator Greg Thompson stood at one of the speaking podiums, addressing the assembly. He led the isolationist faction that wanted humans to remain hidden. We chose the Great Sleep to escape the chaos of galactic politics, he argued. The aliens made their choices. They chose war over peace, ignorance over knowledge, hatred over cooperation. Why should we sacrifice human lives to save them from themselves? Murmurs of agreement rippled through sections of the chamber. Many humans had grown comfortable with their isolation. Their hidden worlds were peaceful and prosperous. They had everything they needed without the complications of dealing with alien civilizations. Dr. Helen Davis stepped to the opposing podium. She had spent months analyzing the intelligence reports from the reconnaissance missions. The data is clear, she said, projecting holographic charts above the chamber. Galactic civilization will completely collapse within a century. Billions of sentient beings will die. Entire species will go extinct. We have the knowledge and capability to prevent this catastrophe. She showed images of dying worlds, overpopulated planets fighting over resources, and species that had regressed to primitive technology levels. These beings didn't choose ignorance and war. They lost the knowledge and institutions that made peace and prosperity possible. Without the diplomatic frameworks humans created, without the technological innovations humans provided, they simply couldn't maintain advanced civilization. General Matt Williams took the third podium. He represented the military faction that favored direct intervention. Dr. Davis is right about the crisis, but wrong about the solution, he said. These species have proven they can't govern themselves responsibly. The logical answer is for humans to take direct control. Our superior technology and enhanced capabilities make us the natural rulers of the galaxy. He brought up tactical analyses, showing how easily human forces could conquer alien governments. A few demonstrations of our advanced weapons would end all resistance. Benevolent human rule would save more lives than trying to work with incompetent alien leaders. Ambassador Rachel Kim, the fleet admiral's daughter, approached the fourth podium. She had been working on diplomatic solutions since the intelligence reports arrived. There's a middle path, she said. We reveal ourselves gradually and offer assistance to species willing to accept human guidance. We help them rebuild their institutions and recover their lost knowledge. Those who refuse our help or prove hostile can be left to their own fate. The debate continued for days. Speakers from different human colonies shared their perspectives. Some had thrived in isolation and feared that returning to galactic affairs would bring chaos to human worlds. Others argued that humanity had a moral obligation to use their advantages to help less capable species. Engineer Danny Brown was working in the station's technical section when he made the discovery that changed everything. He was analyzing long-range sensor data when he noticed something disturbing in the readings from Earth's solar system. Admiral Kim, Danny said, bursting into the council chamber during a recess. We have a problem. There are alien ships in Earth's system. The chamber fell silent as Danny projected his sensor data on the main display. 3 separate alien fleets have found Earth. They're establishing orbital bases and landing archaeological teams on the surface. They're looting human historical sites and trying to access our technology archives. Fleet Admiral Laura Kim studied the data with growing anger. Earth had been carefully preserved as a memorial to humanity's origins and as a repository for human culture and knowledge. Sacred sites from human history were being ransacked by alien treasure hunters. How did they find it? someone called from the assembly. Danny highlighted sections of his analysis. They've been conducting systematic searches of the region where Earth was last recorded in Federation databases. They found it 3 months ago. The archaeological expedition has turned into a military occupation. Senator Greg Thompson looked shaken. Even if we wanted to stay isolated, we can't let them plunder Earth. That's our birth world. Our most sacred sites are there. General Matt Williams stood up. This proves my point exactly. These aliens can't be trusted with anything important. They see human artifacts as treasure to be stolen rather than culture to be respected. Ambassador Rachel Kim was already working on her tablet, pulling up diplomatic protocols. We could try to negotiate, offer them access to some human technology in exchange for withdrawing from Earth. Negotiate? General Williams said angrily. They're grave robbers desecrating our most holy places. The time for diplomacy is over. Dr. Helen Davis projected new data she had been analyzing. It's worse than grave robbing. They're trying to reverse engineer human technology without understanding the principles behind it. If they succeed in activating some of our more advanced systems without proper knowledge, they could cause catastrophic accidents. She showed simulation results of what could happen if aliens misused human technology. They could accidentally trigger weapon systems that would sterilize entire planets. They could create ecological disasters trying to replicate our terraforming technology. They could release nanotechnology that would consume everything it touches. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Humans who had been content with isolation were now calling for immediate military action. Even the most pacifist representatives agreed that Earth had to be protected. Fleet Admiral Laura Kim called for order. The situation has changed. We can no longer debate whether to reveal ourselves. The aliens have forced our hand by threatening Earth. She activated the chamber's command systems and began issuing orders. General Williams, prepare the assault fleets. We're going to retake Earth immediately. Ambassador Kim, draft surrender, terms for the alien forces. Dr. Davis, prepare humanitarian aid packages for the species that need immediate assistance. The Grand Council voted unanimously to end humanity's isolation. The margin was overwhelming. 9,147 votes in favor, 23 votes against, and 130 abstentions. Senator Greg Thompson, who had led the isolationist faction, now spoke in favor of action. We tried to leave them alone to find their own path. They chose to violate our most sacred spaces. Now they'll learn why humanity was respected and feared throughout the galaxy. Young Danny Brown was assigned to the communications team that would broadcast humanity's return to the galaxy. What should the message say? He asked. Fleet Admiral Laura Kim looked out at the stars through the chamber's great windows. Somewhere, among those distant lights, alien civilizations were about to learn that their long night of chaos was ending. Humanity was coming home. Tell them the truth, she said. Tell them we've been watching. Tell them we've seen how the galaxy has suffered without proper guidance. Tell them the time of chaos is over. Humanity has returned to restore order. The die was cast. After nearly 1 million years of isolation, humanity was about to step back onto the galactic stage. This time, they would not be content to serve as advisors and peacekeepers. They would rule. Captain Tyler Jackson stood on the bridge of the battleship Eternal Dawn as it dropped out of hyperspace above the alien world of Vega Prime. Around him, 50 human warships materialized simultaneously, their cloaking fields deactivating in by perfect coordination. The alien patrol ships orbiting the planet immediately began broadcasting panic signals. Open all communication channels, Tyler ordered. Begin the broadcast. Across the galaxy, the same scene played out above 50 different worlds. Human fleets appeared without warning around major alien population centers, their advanced ships dwarfing the primitive vessels trying to challenge them. Tyler's voice, carried across all frequencies in every known alien language. The universal translators humans had developed still worked perfectly after all these years. People of the galaxy, this is Captain Tyler Jackson of the Human Space Forces. We have returned. Your long night of chaos is ending. Your children need shepherds once again. On Vega Prime, the response was immediate chaos. The Vegan Supremacy Coalition's military command center erupted into frantic activity as their leaders tried to understand what was happening. Warlord Zextar, the coalition's supreme commander, screamed orders at his subordinates while staring at the massive human ships on his screens. "Impossible," Zextar growled. "Humans are extinct. These must be some kind of alien trick." His intelligence officer was analyzing the sensor readings with growing terror. "Sir, those ships are using technology we don't recognize. Their power signatures are off our measurement scales. Our weapons can't even target them properly." Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. Some alien leaders fell to their knees in worship, believing that ancient prophecies about humanity's return were coming true. Others prepared for desperate last stands against what they saw as an invasion by mythical beings. Admiral Patricia Lewis led the task force assigned to liberate Earth. Her ships approached the human homeworld to find alien archaeological teams, scattered across the surface and orbital facilities built around the planet like a cage. "Scan the surface," Patricia ordered. "I want to know exactly what they've done to our world." The results made her angry beyond words. The aliens had built mining operations near the ruins of ancient human cities. They had torn apart historical sites looking for technology. They had constructed military bases on top of sacred memorial sites. "Broadcast surrender demands," Patricia said coldly. "Tell them they have 1 hour to evacuate Earth completely, or we'll remove them by force." The alien commander in orbit around Earth was a Kepler scientist named Vorthak, who had been leading the archaeological expedition for decades. When he received the human ultimatum, he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You claim to be humans?" Vorthak transmitted back. "Humans died out hundreds of thousands of years ago. We're conducting legitimate archaeological research on a dead world." Patricia's response was swift and decisive. "I am Admiral Patricia Lewis of the Human Star Fleet. This is our birth world. You are trespassing on sacred ground. You have 59 minutes to leave." To prove her point, Patricia ordered a demonstration. One of her destroyers fired a single shot at an asteroid near Earth. The alien rock simply disappeared, vaporized completely by weapons technology beyond anything the current galaxy possessed. Vorthak and his teams evacuated within the hour. Dr. Kevin Martinez led the humanitarian mission to the plague-stricken worlds of the former Altarian Empire. His medical ships carried treatments for diseases that had been killing aliens for millennia. The reception his teams received varied dramatically from world to world. On Altaria Prime, the remaining population greeted human medics as divine saviors. Within days, Kevin's teams had cured plagues that had been ravaging the planet for centuries. Children who had never known life without sickness were suddenly healthy. Adults who had given up hope watched their dying relatives recover completely. "How is this possible?" asked Prime Minister Koltar, the elected leader of one of Altaria Prime's city-states. "Our best doctors said these diseases were incurable, Doctor." Martinez showed him the simple genetic therapy that had eliminated the plague. "Your doctors were using the wrong approach. They were trying to fight the disease with chemicals. We reprogram your immune system to recognize and destroy the infection. Naturally, the treatment that had taken human scientists centuries to develop could now be administered in minutes using their advanced medical technology." Commander Julie Adams was assigned to make first contact with species that had never encountered humans before. Many of these younger civilizations had evolved after humanity's disappearance and knew humans only through ancient legends and fragmented historical records. On the world of Nova Centauri, Julie met with representatives of the Crystalline Collective, a species that communicated through harmonic frequencies. They had developed space travel only 50,000 years ago and had never met humans directly. "Your legends speak of the soft ones who could solve any problem," the crystalline leader resonated. "Are you these mythical beings?" Julie smiled. As her translator converted her words into harmonic patterns the aliens could understand. "We prefer to be called humans, and we're not mythical. We're very real, and we're here to help." The crystalline beings were amazed by human technology. Julie demonstrated a simple matter compiler that could create any object by rearranging atomic structures. To the aliens, it seemed like magic. Meanwhile, resistance was forming among species that refused to accept human authority. The Vegan Supremacy Coalition declared war on humanity, claiming that humans were inferior beings who had hidden in fear while superior species conquered the galaxy. Warlord Zextar broadcast his challenge across the galaxy. These so-called humans are cowards who ran away when the galaxy needed strength. Now they return like scavengers to prey on our weakness. The Vegan Empire will crush them. His fleet of 2,000 warships moved to attack the human forces above. Alteria Prime, confident that superior numbers would overcome whatever technological advantages the humans might possess. The battle lasted 17 minutes. Admiral Ben Carter commanded the human defense with only 50 ships. The Vegan fleet opened fire first, launching everything they had at the human formation. Their weapons simply bounced off human shields that absorbed the energy and converted it to power their own systems. The human counterattack was precise and devastating. Each human ship targeted multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. Advanced AI systems calculated the exact amount of force needed to disable each alien ship without destroying it completely. The entire Vegan fleet was neutralized with minimal casualties. Warlord Zextar found himself a prisoner aboard Admiral Carter's flagship, staring in disbelief at the displays showing his defeated forces. Impossible, he kept repeating. We are the supreme species. We conquered 100 worlds. Ben Carter looked at him with something resembling pity. You conquered primitive civilizations with crude technology. We are humans. We conquered the galaxy once before, and we've spent nearly 1,000,000 years becoming stronger. News of the Vegan defeat spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. Other militant species began reconsidering their opposition to human authority. The demonstration had been clear and unmistakable. Resistance was futile, but not all reactions were hostile. The Centauri Republic, led by Chancellor Morden, immediately sent diplomatic envoys to the human forces. They still had some Federation-era records about humanity and understood what the return meant. The old ways are returning, Chancellor Morden transmitted to Fleet Admiral Laura Kim. The Centauri Republic formally recognizes human authority and requests guidance in rebuilding proper galactic governance. Within months of their revelation, humans found themselves managing humanitarian crises across dozens of worlds while simultaneously establishing new governmental structures to replace the chaos that had ruled for centuries. The galaxy was waking up from its long nightmare, but the real work was just beginning. President Andrew Clark stood in the newly constructed Council Hall on Earth, looking out at representatives from 300 alien species. 5 years had passed since humanity's return, and the new Galactic Commonwealth was finally taking shape. Unlike the old Federation's democracy of equals, this government operated under clear human leadership with increasing autonomy, granted to species that proved their responsibility. The Commonwealth recognizes the sovereignty of member species over their internal affairs, Andrew announced to the Assembly. However, all interstellar matters, trade disputes, territorial conflicts, and technological development programs will be managed by human administrators until member species demonstrate the capability to handle these responsibilities independently. Chancellor Morden of the Centauri Republic raised his hand to speak. His people had been among the first to accept human guidance and had benefited tremendously from the arrangement. President Clark, the Centauri worlds have eliminated poverty and disease. Under human guidance, our population has grown by 30% in just 5 years. When will we be eligible for increased autonomy? Andrew consulted his tablet, which contained detailed progress reports on every member species. The Centauri Republic has shown excellent progress in education, healthcare, and economic development. However, your military forces still lack the discipline necessary for peacekeeping operations. We recommend another 3 years of joint training with human forces before considering expanded self-governance. Not everyone in the galaxy had accepted human leadership willingly. The Reformation Wars had lasted 3 years as various species attempted to resist human authority through military action. Fleet Admiral Laura Kim had commanded the human forces during those conflicts, demonstrating both restraint and overwhelming superiority. The war against the Andromedan Liberation Front had been typical of these conflicts. The front controlled 40 star systems, and commanded over 5 million troops across dozens of worlds. Their leaders believed that superior numbers and fanatical dedication would overcome human technological advantages. Admiral Kim had ended their resistance with a single battle. Her fleet of 100 ships had surrounded the front's home system and demanded surrender. When the aliens refused, Kim had demonstrated human power by relocating their entire star system's asteroid belt, arranging the rocks to spell out "surrender" in letters visible from the planet's surface. The front's leaders had capitulated immediately, understanding that beings who could move asteroids like chess pieces could easily destroy planets if they chose to do so. Director Susan Wright oversaw the Great Restoration Project from her headquarters on the rebuilt space station New Geneva. Her teams were systematically repairing galactic infrastructure that had been neglected or destroyed during the centuries of chaos. The quantum highway network is 60% restored, Susan reported during her monthly briefing to President Clark. We've established secure hyperspace routes connecting all major population centers. Travel time between core worlds has been reduced from months to hours. She showed him holographic displays of the growing transportation network. Trade volume has increased by 800% since we began the restoration. Economic prosperity is returning to worlds that had been isolated for centuries. The terraforming projects were equally impressive. Human environmental engineers were restoring damaged worlds while creating new habitable planets for expanding alien populations. Dr. Nicholas Garcia led these efforts, using advanced ecological manipulation techniques that seemed miraculous to alien observers. We've successfully restored 17 dead worlds to full fertility, Nicholas reported. The Kepler system now has 4 habitable planets instead of 1. The new worlds can support billions of additional colonists. He showed before and after images of planets that had been barren wastelands but were now covered in forests and oceans. The aliens never understood that terraforming is about creating balanced ecosystems, not just adding air and water. Our approach integrates climate control, soil chemistry, atmospheric composition, and biological diversity into a single sustainable system. The educational programs were transforming alien societies from within. Human teachers were working with alien students to rediscover lost knowledge and develop new technologies. Many species were learning things their ancestors had known but forgotten during the dark centuries. Captain Jake Morrison, now serving as an educational coordinator, watched alien children learning advanced mathematics alongside human students in an integrated classroom on Earth. The young aliens absorbed the lessons eagerly, their natural curiosity finally being properly guided and developed. The younger generation adapts quickly, Jake reported to the Commonwealth Education Council. Alien children who grow up with human guidance show intelligence levels comparable to their ancestors during Federation times. The problem was never their natural ability, but the lack of proper educational systems. The most remarkable change was in alien attitudes toward humans themselves. Species that had initially resented human authority were beginning to see humans as natural leaders, rather than foreign occupiers. Prime Minister Koltar of Altaria, Prime exemplified this transformation. His world had been devastated by plague and civil war when humans arrived. Now it was prosperous and peaceful, with a growing population and thriving economy. Before the humans returned, we were dying, Koltar said during a Commonwealth Assembly session. Our children were born sick and died young. Our cities were ruins. Our people fought each other over scraps. Now our children are healthy and educated. Our cities are beautiful. Our people work together toward common goals. We are not subjects of human rule. We are students of human wisdom. 20 years after humanity's return, Captain Jake Morrison stood once again in the observation deck of the new Terra, now orbiting a fully restored Earth. The planet below sparkled blue and green in the sunlight, its cities rebuilt and its ecosystems thriving. Ships of dozens of different species moved peacefully through Earth's orbital traffic patterns. The galaxy stretched before them, more peaceful and prosperous than it had ever been. New species continued to petition for membership in the Commonwealth, attracted by the stability and prosperity that human guidance provided. Jake's grandson, young Peter Morrison, stood beside him looking out at the stars. The boy was part of the first generation to grow up in the New Order, humans and aliens learning and playing together as natural equals under human guidance. "Grandpa, why did humans have to sleep for so long?" Peter asked. Jake smiled and put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "Sometimes, Peter, the best way to help people is to let them try things on their own first. We knew the galaxy would have problems without us, but we also knew they needed to understand how much they needed proper guidance." "Did the plan work?" Jake looked out at the peaceful traffic of human and alien ships, at the restored Earth below, at the prosperity that now extended across thousands of worlds. "Yes, Peter, the plan worked perfectly. The galaxy learned that some species are naturally suited to lead and others are meant to follow. Now everyone knows their proper place, and everyone is happier for it." A new age had dawned across the galaxy. Under human guidance, alien civilizations were reaching heights of achievement they had never imagined possible. Poverty, disease, and war were becoming distant memories. Art, science, and culture flourished under human patronage. The few remaining, holdout species that refused Commonwealth membership, found themselves increasingly isolated as their neighbors prospered under human guidance. Even they were beginning to reconsider their positions as their young people demanded the opportunities that Commonwealth membership provided. Humanity had claimed their destined role as the galaxy's eternal shepherds. They had proven beyond doubt that some species were born to rule while others were born to be guided. The natural order had been restored, and the galaxy was at peace under the wise and benevolent authority of humanity. The long experiment in galactic self-governance was over. Humanity's patient strategy had succeeded completely, and now the stars themselves seemed to shine more brightly under human stewardship.